Hello, Tim from Fair Play Now on the 17th of February 2024. So I had a really interesting comment under my video that I did yesterday. If you recall at least some of it, I was talking about this French thing, supposed new French law, where if you even dare to criticise a certain thing, you know what, you could be looking at years in prison and a very hefty fine as well. And one of the comments underneath it, I'm just going to read it out to be honest with you, but it's basically, you know, going on about the other side of the argument. And never let it be said that I'm not willing to look at both sides of an argument. So here we go. It is a reference to a new bill currently working its way through the French Parliament, i.e. it's not actually law yet, that is designed to criminalise the potential harmful actions of sects on innocent people. So sects, I suppose, is he talking about the Moonies and that kind of thing, or whatever? Any Scientologists, maybe. Anyway, within the bill, there is a section, Article 4, describing a new offence whereby someone incites a sick person into refusing a proven medical treatment. The stipulation is that the person has to already have the condition, i.e. already be ill, sick, was added after the bill's first reading in the French lower house. So that Article 4 was added after the first reading. In other words, this potential new French law has absolutely nothing to do with V's, and in practice it would be very difficult to apply to V's. Anyway, because of the proposal is that the person has to already be sick, i.e. you give V's to people who aren't sick. They don't work if you already have the condition. Remember, the bill has still to go through the upper house in France, so it's not law yet. And then he ends, as Mark Twain famously wrote, a lie can pass halfway around the world before the truth has got its trousers on. And that was posted by Ian Rolfe, a guy called Ian Rolfe. So, thanks, Ian. Always good to see both sides of the argument. Of course, I haven't verified what he has said there is true, but it seems quite reasoned and rational even, should I say. So I'm going to accept that as sort of on face value. So yeah, like I say, never let it be said that I don't look at both sides of an argument. And when you see, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into a wider thing. When you see all of these scare stories in the alternative media and Telegram groups and that sort of thing, it's very easy to jump to worst case scenarios, isn't it? And you never quite know, unless you're some kind of legal expert, really well versed in all of this kind of thing, exactly how bad it would be in real life. So that is one thing to bear in mind. If you see something that looks like a real horror story, something that looks really bad, is it really that bad? Or is it, if you really look into it, go really into depth with it, is it actually ever going to be as bad as the scaremongers would have you believe? So that's just a point, probably a little bit different from what I normally do on here, but I think there is a lot of sort of half-truths out there, and a lot of people, doomsters, I suppose you could call them, doom and gloomsters, who just want to lower the vibration. It would be nice if there were people in the Truth and Freedom movement who were kind of very analytical types who would just sort of sit down and sift through all of the stuff that's coming through, and then sort of say, well, actually, this thing that everybody's going on about this week. The actual reality is this, and this, and not necessarily that, and that. But that would be maybe quite a good idea for a channel. So if anyone wants to run with that idea, feel free. It wouldn't be my thing. I'm not a research type of person, to be honest with you. I just haven't got the patience and the time for it. I just tend to look at what's going on, what's sort of trending, what looks like an interesting, unusual story. Just do a little bit of a research on it, and then give my thoughts and opinions on it, pretty much like I'm doing now, really. So that's the final word on that. And I don't know if you've heard, you may well have done if you're well up on things in the Truth and Freedom movement, but apparently very recently those two massively heavy hitters in the movement, Alex Jones and David Icke, had an interview together. And I haven't actually seen it yet. I'm in the middle of watching kind of David sort of talking about the interview in a program he does with his sort of son every week, where he's basically dissecting the interview and saying what he thought of it. But apparently, I actually saw the clip, but I think towards the end of the interview, someone, they didn't say they were Elon Musk, but it certainly sounded like him. He's got a highly distinctive voice, and when this person came on, it sounded very much like Elon Musk. Actually, they're sort of talking to Alex Jones and David Icke. The latter, of course, not being a particular fan of the guy, of Elon. So that's very interesting. Don't know the full ins and outs of it, but I will be watching that interview. I think you probably have to be a member of Iconic or one of David Icke's or Alex Jones's paid for subscription things. But what I'll do is I'll watch it because I've got an Iconic membership at the moment, so I'll watch it and then I'll come back and tell you what I think of the interview at some point. I'll probably make that my Saturday night viewing, go and watch that, and I'll be back soon with my thoughts on it. And actually, talking about big interviews, I did comment a couple of times in recent days on the other big interview that's happened recently between Tucker Carlson and Vladimir Putin. And I'll tell you a couple of thoughts on that, my sort of final thoughts. First of all, Tucker Carlson's got he's got a weird interview technique, isn't he? He asks a question and then he just sort of stares at the person really intently like that, doesn't he? Which is must be disconcerting if you're the interviewee. And then I don't know if the particular version I saw had been cut in any way, but he seems to, Carlson, just seems to burst out laughing at the most inappropriate points. Putin would say something and then Carlson would just burst out laughing, and it wasn't, to my mind, anything particularly funny that he was laughing at. And then Putin, the camera would go back to Putin and he was just serious looking, obviously meaning that it wasn't a joke. So I found that a little bit bizarre as well. And then that's my comments, I suppose, on Carlson, although he is obviously a very good interviewer and he got a lot out of Putin. As far as I could make of Putin, okay, he's a politician. I don't trust any of them as far as you can throw them, but he certainly didn't come across as the crazy, kind of rabid, nutcase that the Western media and the Western leadership would have you believe. He came across as a pretty down-to-earth, reasonable bloke, and he was sort of saying that the only reason why he's taking the action that he did by going into the Ukraine was to protect Russian people within that country who weren't being treated very well, so it's almost a protection kind of thing, and also B, there was an agreement way back in the 90s when the sort of a Cold War ended, that the West wouldn't start expanding NATO to the east, and they then went back on that, and they expanded further and further and further to the east, and they were wanting to get the Ukraine into NATO and everything else. And you could certainly understand why Putin would be a bit sort of peeved about that, wouldn't you? You're looking at it the other way around. It'd be a little bit like if Russia had a NATO kind of entity and he started expanding that. He got Turkey onto it, he got all sorts of other places onto it, Cuba, Mexico. I don't think the Americans would have been particularly happy with that. Anyway, a few thoughts there. Gonna leave it, and I'll be back soon. Tim from Fairplay now. Thanks for watching.